Welcome back to season 1 of Snubs and Dubs, where we're talking the snubs and dubs of the 69th Academy Awards for Best Picture. I'm your host, Kyle Tobiasson, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Jason Miller. Jason, how you doing today?
Hey, Kyle, I'm doing pretty good today. How are you?
I'm good, yeah. Just coasting.
Just coasting
Absolutely.
and co-hosting.
Yeah.
You know what they say.
Did you watch any movies this week?
I've only watched one movie this week,
And?
but we watched it together.
Oh!
It was Dune 2021.
It was Dune 2021.
And it was probably 20 out of 21. I really liked it.
Yeah, I remember hearing like briefly what you thought about it out of the theater, but tell the fans.
All right, here's the
its
thing.
praise.
It's just kind of sick. Like, a lot of the visuals are super cool. I have never interacted with any piece of Dune media before. So, like, I didn't read the books. I didn't watch any of the movies. I haven't played with the action figures. So I didn't know anything about Dune coming in, except for that there are dunes and worms.
Mm-hmm.
And Timothy Chalamet is in it. But I had a great time. Cool world building, real cool characters. The performances were good. Special effects were super cool. I just wanted to see, like, if I could have 3 hours of them just coming up with different spaceships and just kind of riffing on that, I'd be happy with that. Like, that was super cool.
Yeah, the spaceship designs and actually like the designs of all the sort of like vehicles and buildings, everything worked in the world, and like it didn't take you out of it that their ship was based like a dragonfly.
Oh,
so
no.
you're like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, it's kind of cute. And it kind of works.
Yeah, the Omnithopters, they're really cool in like the books, but to like see it so faithfully like that, it was really sick.
Pretty wicked. Yeah, and I didn't even care. Like, it's not an action-packed movie, especially like nothing conflict-wise happens for a while. I didn't care. I had a fun time sitting there watching some dudes walk around, talk about politics and show cool stuff. So loved it.
And we're going to get more because they announced Dune Part 2 is coming.
Part 2. What did you think? Well, I guess, what did you think of Dune, Kyle? We didn't get your full review here.
Last week I said that I liked it, and I did like it. But the second viewing really solidified it to me as like one of the best movies of this year so far, and like one of my favorite of modern sci-fi, because I think with the first time I watched it, I had expectations in my head from the book, because I've read the book, that I was waiting for things to happen. And so I wasn't like taking the whole movie in as the movie. I was just like waiting for certain plot points to happen. And when I went into it this time, I was like, I had already known what was happening. I already had the full scope of what the movie was. And so I was able to just sit there and enjoy the movie for what it is.
Yeah.
And I fucking love it.
Oh, it's so good. Dune 2021. Hell of a ride.
Hell of a ride.
Good time.
Hotly recommended.
What else have you seen lately? You've been on an absolute tear. You just reach for a phone. Oh, God.
So last week we talked about Jennifer's Body and Cam.
Yep.
And so you didn't get around to Cam, but that's fine. You still go check it out. But I did get around to Jennifer's Body.
Yeah.
And I really liked it.
It's good. It's a solid movie. It's really fun.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you texted me. Oh, my God. When you said something like, Chris Pratt's in this?
Yeah.
Because that's my reaction too. Like, was that Chris Pratt?
Yeah. He's just like a random patron at the bar like early on who like hits on Jennifer, and apparently they have like history together, and like he's kind of used to set up Jennifer's, I guess, sexual history.
Yeah.
Something
like just to show that she's not a virgin, which comes important later for sacrificial things. One thing that I really enjoy about that movie is the like song that they made for that band. I really dislike that song. Like, it doesn't sound good. I hated that song.
Yeah.
And it worked really well in that context because it just made me dislike the band even more. Probably worse than the Ritualistic Murders was like, that song just kind of sucked.
Well, yeah, I guess like slight spoilers for Jennifer's Body, but like it also helps that the song's like not the greatest, but yet there's still so much obsession over it.
Yeah.
Because it shows that their sacrifice has been rewarded and that they are reaping the benefits of this sacrifice.
Yeah.
And even though they fucked it up by not sacrificing a virgin, they still have the benefit of like success, even though their song is basically
doo-doo toilet water. Yeah.
Mediocre. But because it's like turned into this anthem. And I love this like one little interaction between, I think, oh God, what's her friend's name? Not Jennifer, but
I already don't remember.
But
vacated my mind entirely.
And I forget, who's the actress' name again?
Oh, I couldn't tell you that one either.
But this is bad.
The main character.
Yeah, the main character. But she has an interaction with some like super fan of the band, and she's like, dude, I was there. They didn't help anybody at all.
Yeah.
And she's like, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, of course she knows what she's talking about. She was literally fucking there.
She was in the burning building.
Yeah. So, but really good movie. And I would recommend that to everybody too. I also saw 2 other 2021 movies in theaters. I had a really busy theaters week this week.
No kidding.
I saw The Last Duel by Ridley Scott, and that shit slaps.
Yeah,
bro. It's
that's a good one.
Fucking good.
Okay, that's good.
I'm so upset that it's doing so poorly because it's literally like when you look at it from an outside perspective, it's directed by fucking Ridley Scott, who's done like Alien and The Martian and all this other great shit.
Yeah.
And Blade Runner, what the fuck? Like, what is this? And then it's written by Matt Damon and Ben Affleck for the first time that they've written a movie together since they won an Academy Award for Good Will Hunting.
Which is like, I think also the first time they ever wrote a movie together.
It was.
So that's wild.
It was unreal. And it also stars Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, and fucking Adam Driver, who's like nutty, and Jodie Comer, who is so good in this movie. Like, this should have been, and it's a medieval fucking like drama. It should have been fucking gangbusters. Yeah. But nobody's seen it.
And guys, it's The Last Duel. You can't do them anymore after this. This is our last hurrah of duels. You have to go watch it.
But it's a really cool movie, and I like how they chose to do the story because it's basically about a rape allegation in these times in which women are basically property still at that point. And so it's a rape is a crime against like another man because it's a crime against property. And so it's basically 2 men fighting over their pride, basically. Like one saying he didn't do it and one like trying to like, because this Adam Driver's character is like constantly screwing over Matt Damon's character. But you see it through 3 different perspectives. So like, it's kind of like 3 movies in a way.
Yeah.
In this 2.5 hour movie, actually kind of 4, because after you see the event happen in 3 different ways, then you go to kind of like the consequences in the actual event of The Last Duel. But you see it through like Matt Damon's character, then Adam Driver's character, and then actually like the woman's character, Jodie Comer's character. And they're all really interesting because the acting is different. And like the way that interactions happen, because it's from their perspective.
Oh, yeah.
So it's how they think things are happening.
Kind of like personally biased every time.
Yeah. And so in one like battle scene, Matt Damon charges in and he's like, for the king, and he seems all epic and crazy and like badass. But in the Adam Driver perspective, he looks like a fucking idiot because they've been trying to hold off and he's just charging in by himself. And so they're like, well, fuck, he's just going to die. And so like, I guess we'll go. Yeah. And so instead of him like looking like he's leading the charge, it's looking like he's a fucking idiot. And now they're going to have to engage in this battle because of him. Yeah. It's really cool. It's really interesting. So,
well, I'm going to go try and watch that.
You should go check it out.
Great review of Ridley Scott's The Last Duel. Yeah. Go check that one out.
I also saw Last Night in Soho last night.
In Soho. How was it?
It was good.
Nice.
I don't think it's Edgar Wright's best. And it kind of lost me in like the second half because the world in the first half of like when the main character's dreaming that she's like living in the 60s or like witnessing this other woman in the 60s is like so fascinating. And like the camera work they did to like have their reflections be like eat the other actors and like all the transitions they did for the dancing and stuff is really cool. But like once you kind of get into the supernatural elements of it, it starts to kind of get predictable.
Oh, yeah.
And like there's some like twists and turns that happen throughout that I was like, yeah, that's kind of expected.
Yeah.
So, but it was cool. Yeah.
That's good. More of a Last Night in So-So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get into the media that we had to consume for this episode of the podcast. Of course, season 1 is covering the films of the year 1996. And so for episode 13, we are talking about Marvin's Room. Jason, what the fuck is Marvin's Room?
What is Marvin's Room? Kyle, I've watched the movie. I've done a little research on it. I don't know if I could tell you. Yeah. I don't know why Marvin had such a hold on this room or what this room's magic abilities were. But it's a movie we watched.
Yeah.
How would you like to describe Marvin's Room and what it means to you as a human being?
Well, I'll give you the justification of why I decided that this should land in the schedule is because you look at the cast.
Yeah.
Fucking nutty.
Unreal
cast. Meryl Streep, Leonardo DiCaprio, Diane Keaton, or is that her name?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's her name?
I'm pretty sure it's Diane Keaton.
Yep, Diane Keaton. Robert De Niro? Like, what the fuck?
And Robert De Niro's just kind of there to hang out.
Yeah.
It's really... And I couldn't imagine watching this movie without that star-studded cast, in all honesty.
Exactly.
If you give this to no names, I am turning the TV off.
Yeah. And so I think, like, I saw that cast and I was like, okay, this is like the Meryl Streep Oscar push for this year.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, well, let's put that in because that makes sense to talk about if we're talking about something that could potentially be snubs for Best Picture, because this was not nominated for Best Picture.
Mm-hmm.
Rightfully so.
I'm glad that it was included in this season because it's kind of a breakup from the rest of the movies. We're not going to watch another one like this movie in the lineup.
Yeah.
It must have just had some kind of art house pull to it. Maybe this, because it's based on a screenplay. Maybe
on a play.
Like on a play, sorry,
play.
yeah.
All movies are based on screenplays.
That's, God damn it. You got me there. But it's based on a play. So maybe them knowing that this adaptation was happening, maybe there's just the prestige of being in this movie because it's based on the play or something that had this kind of pull.
Yeah.
I didn't really care that much while watching it. No. I had a hard time giving a shit.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And you know what the best way I can describe this movie is like an Oscar baity TV movie.
Yeah.
Because like it's framed like a TV show too. It's in 4:3. And so
I forgot to ask you about that.
Yeah.
I put the movie on and immediately docked it 300 points because it's in some messed up aspect ratio, black bars on my screen.
Yeah, it's not even 16:9, like let alone like the fucking 2:31 to 1 or like the wide screen.
Yeah.
It's like literally TV show framed.
Yeah.
And like I get that this was a ratio that like was pretty common when fucking movies were starting to be made, and now people are using it as like an artful choice. But like right here in this era,
in this
economy, looks like TV.
Yeah, it's not great.
No.
Especially when it's so heavily like referential to soapbox TV.
Yeah.
You can't really feel like one and discuss them because you're just going to be the worst of both of those things.
Yeah, exactly. So, fuck. Let's just get into
Marvin's Room.
If you were interested in Marvin's Room or the play it's based on, I've included some links to the physical media related to it in the show notes. If you buy through that link, it'll help out the show. Or if you have any other Amazon shopping to do, follow our general link and it'll help out the show in the process. A reminder that this is a spoiler-filled conversation, so if you haven't seen Marvin's Room and you want to, go ahead and do so, but I don't think you need to.
I don't know.
Without further ado, let's get into it. So, Bessie, Diane Keaton, and Lee, Meryl Streep, are sisters who have remained apart for nearly 20 years due to radically different personalities and life paths. Bessie remained in Florida to care for their ill, bed-ridden father, played by Hume Cronyn, and Lee moved to Ohio to marry and have a family. But Bessie's doctor, played by Robert De Niro, has informed her that she has leukemia and needs a bone marrow transplant. Bessie's prognosis and Lee's troubled son, Leonardo DiCaprio, create an unexpected family reunion. Marvin's Room is directed by... Wow. This movie's already putting me in shambles.
It was directed by... Okay, wow.
So, his name was just that offensive. It's not even that offensive of a name. His name is Jerry Zaks.
How did that do you so wrong?
I don't know. I don't know why that's like fumbled me so hard. Okay, it's directed by Jerry Zaks, written by John Guar, based on the play of the same name by Scott McPherson. It stars, as we mentioned, Meryl Streep, Leonardo DiCaprio, Diane Keaton, Robert De Niro, Hume Cronyn, Gwen Verdon, and Hal Scardino. It is a runtime of 98 minutes, which is, to its credit.
Yep.
It's at least doesn't overstay its welcome. And it released on December 18th, 1996, prime Oscar season. All right. But we've already kind of talked about what we thought about Marvin's Room. Do we want to just jump into this plot?
Let's hit the plot.
Okay.
Let's just get down and dirty in plot land. The movie opens with one of the worst parking jobs in cinema history. As Bessie Wakefield, like the distance between her car and the curb, arrives for a visit to the doctor. This visit, however, isn't her usual foray to the doctor on behalf of her bedridden father, Marvin, who narrowly survived a stroke 20 years ago, unfortunately, or for her elderly Aunt Ruth, who is also in Bessie's care. But this trip is in fact for herself, as she has been feeling tired and fatigued lately, which really calls into question why she parks so goddamn far from the curb.
Okay.
You think she'd want to? You don't think she'd want to walk that extra mile in this state, but guess not.
You think she'd have a handicap parking stamp too, with like being the caregiver for two elderly people.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, she's parked so far.
That parking job fucking sucks. I was so mad about that.
It was like the first offense was the aspect ratio, and then you saw the parking job, and immediately you were like, well, fuck this movie.
Yeah. Like, we have massive black bars on the side of my screen and in between their car and their curb. God damn it. Doctor stuff happens. But then we travel to Ohio in time to find two young boys, Hank and Charlie, setting shit on fire. More so Hank, who is flipping through old Polaroids and pocketing half a photo of his father before using the rest of the pictures and some accelerant for kindling to burn their house to the ground.
Yeah, what did he think was going to happen here? Because I think he mentions he didn't think that the house was going to burn down.
I think, so he knew his house was going to burn down. Okay. I don't think he meant to burn down other houses in the neighborhood, which is what happened.
Yeah, like, that's just, like, fucked up. That's like, why don't you just take the pictures outside and burn them?
Well, he wanted to burn his house down. I just don't think he cared to consider the fact that other houses are right there because they're in, like, pretty dense housing scenario.
Yeah.
It's easier for something like that to jump, but
I mean, quick way to make an irredeemable character, really.
Because,
like, straight up arson to your family home. Probably, and like his mother's not in like the best financial position. Like she's already supporting two kids on her own.
She's putting herself through styling or hair styling school as cosmetology.
Yes, we got there. We got there.
Nice. We workshopped that one. Yeah, she's putting herself through cosmetology school while you're burning shit down.
Yeah. Fuck.
Okay. So, beginning to think this Hank guy's not a great character. The boy's mom, Lee, is then called down to the police station to pick up Charlie, who was more interested in burning through his book than he was the house, and to see Hank get locked up in the most show-off way possible. Like, he kind of chicken wings the window to show that he's in cuffs to his mom while two, cops just throw him around, and it's really all for the spectacle.
Absolutely.
Doesn't care.
Like, hey, I'm Leo. Look at me.
Just
little wink, pretty face.
Yeah.
I burned a house down.
Oh, I'm a bad boy. Oh, yeah. I'm out of control. Somebody stop me. As Lee watches her 17-year-old child get hauled off to a mental hospital, I bet the only thing Lee can think is, well, that's our son.
I'm glad you're having some fun
I had
with this.
fun with this one. Without a house, Charlie and Lee have none other choice but to post up in a local nunnery.
Yep.
Back in Florida, Bessie is called back to see Robert De Niro, who needs to run more tests to figure out what is wrong with Bessie and why she can't park a car. When she tests positive for leukemia, she is forced to do something no one ever wants to do: make a phone call to Ohio. Unfortunately for Bessie, her best hopes of a bone marrow donor are now down to her sister Lee and her two nephews. Lee gets Hank released from his psychiatric care for an entire week and loads him and Charlie into the car to make the drive down to Florida so they can all get tested to see if they are a bone marrow match with Bessie. Seems strange that they need to drive all the way to Florida for what appears to be a routine procedure.
Right.
But I'd also use this as an excuse to leave Ohio.
This was strange because why couldn't you just get the test there?
Why couldn't they just do it there and just send the results?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why
is
do
there
they,
like lack of communication? I guess this is early internet, but like you can make the call.
Mail? Yeah, just call it. Like, oh, it's not a match.
Yeah.
We got dots in these boxes and you have dots in those boxes.
Yeah. And it's like strange because her son is literally in a mental institute because of arson.
Yeah.
And they're letting him go to do a procedure. Like, let him go for a week to do a procedure that he may or may not want to do.
Yeah.
That they could do there.
He didn't even agree to do the thing before he left the hospital. This is a massive mistake. Oh, boy. Well, once in Florida, the two estranged sisters have a painful and stiff reunion where Lee can't seem to do a single thing right. This includes not being able to get her children to leave the car that has been hot-wired by Hank so we can keep listening to some good old rock and roll. And it take Aunt Bessie's gentle touch to get the boys to exit the vehicle. Once inside, the extended family is introduced to the enthusiastic and eccentric Aunt Ruth and to Grandpa Marvin, who can best be described as still breathing.
Yeah. Basically, what the fuck was this thing with the light?
I don't know.
I was like, is he a fucking cat? Like, when I saw this, I was like, okay, so he's basically brain dead?
There's the first introduction to him. He has a bunch of dice in his mouth and has sucked the black dots off of them.
Yeah.
I don't understand how this man is only in home care. He is going to die so soon. Like a strong breeze that through an open window will end him.
Yeah.
And he's not like in a hospital in intensive care or something. He's just chilling at home.
Yep.
He can't speak. He can't communicate his needs. They just assume that he likes the flashy light. That's kind of the only answer they have for him yelling out in pain constantly.
It's almost like Benjamin Button in a way, where he's now like, he hasn't turned into the body of a baby, but like he's like clearly mentally
he has
regressed.
Yeah, there's no like mental activity up there because of the stroke and being in like that basically comatose state for 20 years.
Yeah.
I guess bed sores are going to be insane.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Well, the whole time I was kind of thinking like, this is like Grandpa from Charlie and Chocolate Factory. And if like Charlie, wait, is his name actually Charlie here too? Isn't it Hank and Charlie?
Is it?
Was it? Yeah, it is Hank and Charlie. So if Charlie had like a ticket, Grandpa's still hopping out of bed. Like I could see him still make a Grandpa like recovery so he can go to the Chocolate Factory. But without that magic ticket, he's just kind of laying in bed and is really not even of any kind of mental soundness for the entire movie. You feel bad for him.
You do. Yeah. And you also kind of feel bad for Bessie in a way that she has to like keep caring
this
for him.
Life doesn't seem like she seems happy. Like in the movie reinforces the point that she seems happy. But oh God, do I not blame Lee for leaving? That is not an easy decision to make, that you are going to be these two people's primary caregiver when they need so much attention.
Not even just these two, but like with Bessie getting leukemia, she would have to be the caregiver to 3 people as well as managing 2 children.
Yeah.
That's
a lot. That's a lot. That is a lot. But anyways, this meeting with Grandpa goes poorly as Hank scares Marvin by going for a handshake and Marvin scares Charlie by latching onto his hand. Somehow none of this kills Marvin and Lee and the boys make themselves at home. It should have. Like, I don't know how it didn't. He was really just
any
screaming.
Sort of level of shock is probably enough to give this man a heart attack and drop dead.
He is like one paper away from dying. That night, Hank sneaks into Marvin's room to steal from him and takes an old toolbox out onto the front lawn. Bessie sees him tinkering around outside and follows him out to chat with the troubled boy and to try and help him open up to her. They talk about Marvin, Bessie's mom, who also died of leukemia, and Hank's mental hospital before the conversation turns to whether Hank had decided if he was going to take the donor test or not. He then quickly decides that no one just helps other people for nothing in return and says he won't take the test. Bessie still gives him the toolbox, which is fitting because he's such a tool.
Nice.
Like, you really make him to be such a jerk here, where he has like some super pessimistic worldview and he doesn't believe that he was going to do this because he doesn't get anything in return.
Yeah, just giving you a toolbox.
Yeah.
Just toolbox, bone marrow. Easy.
Week out of the hospital, you're in Florida.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a pretty big win. Cool. You don't need that
just
bone marrow.
Takes you to Disneyland or Disney World.
Yeah.
You know.
Sounds pretty cool.
That sounds pretty fair.
It's not a bad trade.
Yeah.
The next day, Hank and Bessie share a couple of nice moments together as Bessie tries to get to know Hank and open up for his delicious bone marrow. They go for a drive, visit a beach, and then drive on that beach, which I can only imagine is like 90% of things you can do in small town Florida. Later that afternoon, we hear back from Robert De Niro, who's somehow her doctor, and Lee isn't a bone marrow match. She has a high-stakes conversation with Robert De Niro about Bessie's odds if none of the boys are a match, and the answer is pretty bad. One important thing to mention here is that demonstrated throughout the movie is that Bessie is a good human being and the daughter who puts her life on hold to take care of her sickly father and aunt while Lee ran away at the first sign of stroke. It's kind of like important to the plot that Lee also sucks quite a bit. She's not a great mother. She just kind of yells at the kids to do stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah. It is kind of demonstrated in that way. And I wonder if some of that rubbed off on Hank, but also she later makes out that like their dad was not a very nice guy either.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's why
I'm
Hank
excited to get to that one because that was quite a drop.
Yeah.
Anyways, Lee and Bessie go visit a nursing home to explore options for caring for the 2 old hags back home. When their tour guide mentions the possibility of buying a large decorative tombstone to qualify for financial aid, Bessie has heard enough and storms out, followed shortly by Lee, who grabs a flyer on her way out, just in case. Back at home, the 2 sisters have a 5-alarm blowout fight about their lives, why Lee never did anything to help, how she's awful at raising her kids, and how Bessie is basically a saint. She doesn't like ever have boyfriends or find love or anything. She just kind of hangs around and takes care of.
Does she even work?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I have no idea what the money scheme is for this place.
Yeah, because they're they're living in America, so clearly, like, unless she has some sort of insurance for some reason,
but like healthcare's ain't free.
But like one of the opening scenes, you see Bessie. She leaves the house for like an hour, and fucking what's her name? Aunt Flo or something?
Aunt Ruth.
Aunt Ruth.
Aunt
Ruth. Aunt Ruth just fucks up the pills.
Yeah.
And like probably would have. So like she can't work because Aunt Ruth is gonna kill the like
in an hour tops.
Yeah. It's so like. Where is his money coming from?
I don't know. I guess that's not important because it never gets explained. Even Hank comes in for a bit to defend Bessie in this argument, but like early in the movie, he's just adding fuel to the fire. The next day, the boys are taken to see Robert De Niro.
that blew by me for a second, and then it clicked. That was one that there's sometimes you drop a joke and I don't hear it until I listen back while editing the podcast, and I'm like, God damn it.
A lot of these loosely qualify as jokes, and more just like tying back to something for fun.
Yeah.
But the next day, the boys go see Robert De Niro so Charlie can get his marrow tested. Hank ends up signing the paperwork to have it done as well, and Bessie and Hank have another good heart-to-heart conversation while Charlie is off-screen actually being a charitable person and having his bone marrow tested without anyone there to support or help him.
Yeah.
Aunt Bessie's busy showing favoritism to your brother. Sorry, Charlie, just be worthy of more attention.
Maybe burn a house down next time.
Yeah. Stop reading your stupid book and go act out for attention. Bessie is able to break through to Hank and get his marrow tested as well. They have a conversation about why Hank's like always lying and just where is he going to go? Does he always just want to be in some psychiatric hospital? And she drops the baffling line of, if you don't want to be there, why are you there? Which the answer would be a court sentence, Bessie. He can't leave. That's why he's somewhere he doesn't want to be. The law. But I guess if you believe hard enough, you can get past anything. That night, Bessie and Lee try to put things aside and repair their strained relationship. Lee offers to give Bessie a makeover, which is one hell of a way to start that. Like, hey, why don't we make you look good for once? You old ugly lady. But this gets sidelined by Bessie admitting to falling in love with a carny who drowned in front of her. Kind of messed up tale.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also like kind of funny because they said like that the dude she fell in love with, she loved his like laugh that made no noise and looked like he was drowning. And then when he was laughing in a lake, they're like, oh, haha, that's his good old drowning laugh. And then he died.
Yeah. This kind of fucked up. Like, if you think about it.
It is.
Like, you were just like, oh, he's just goofing around. No,
Yeah.
straight up dying in front of you.
That's commitment to the bit.
Yeah.
But I think that's like a creative and successfully scarring story that I understand why she never fell in love again, because that's got to be a lot of weight to hold around.
Yeah, because she definitely could have saved that person.
Oh, yeah. And maybe that's why she feels so needy. Like, she has to take care of these two, is because she's watched people die before, and it was like not her fault, but she could have intervened to some degree.
Yeah. I think you're probably onto something there. That's wow.
Probably.
Is there some deepness into Marvin?
Maybe there's some kind of moral to this family story about learning life and not burning
like that's
down.
the thing is like they will get these minor nuggets of like actual character, like in history, like background. And then like most of the rest of the story is not about that.
And it doesn't matter. Like what the story is, be a good parent, care for your family members.
Yeah.
This is all really surface level stuff.
Yeah.
It's not, you get no real interesting take on the world. The next day is a big day as the whole family abandons Marvin to go to Disney World. Like any good family trip, Lee tells her son that his father used to beat him, and Bessie collapses onto the pavement, smoking her head on the way down. God, this is such a weird scene because they really lay it on you.
Yeah, they're like, whoa, Splash Mountain. Actually, your dad beat you.
Like, it's just so worky and really, uh-oh, we're on Tarzan's jungle. Speaking of swinging.
Bessie hit the ground pretty fucking hard.
Like, it was actually kind of jarring.
Yeah.
I did, like, she either sold it really well or she did just smoke her head to get the scene right.
Yeah. I'm surprised her wig stayed on, to be honest.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Especially after Meryl absolutely fucked that up. Can we talk about that for a second?
Maybe
this
was the style at the time. I don't know.
Because, like, she looked fine before.
Yeah. Like, it was a boring wig, but it was a fine wig.
Yeah,
it looked
and it
like your
suited
average
her.
hair. Yeah.
She come out of that makeover. I was like, what the fuck did you do?
What happened?
She looked better without the wig on.
Yeah. And that's not even like that bad to say.
Yeah.
It was just a bad wig.
Yeah. Ah, fuck.
Oh, man.
So-
It looked like Now, I've seen my sister give some haircuts to Barbie dolls in her youth. She probably did a better job.
And Meryl's going to school for this shit.
Yeah. Meryl, you're not going to graduate. She was so proud of being able to graduate. I think you're being held back a year. I think you missed the haircutting part of haircutting school.
Yeah.
But fortunately, Goofy is able to carry Bessie into Mickey Mouse's clubhouse, where she regains her strength enough to go home. I mean, I don't blame him. It's America. You can't just go to a hospital. That costs money. She doesn't have enough to go around.
I don't know what costs more, Disneyland or a hospital.
Oh, I guess that's true. Probably a hospital.
Probably a hospital.
Goofy actually charged her $50,000 for carrying her into his medical care.
I couldn't even go out with it.
It was still good. It was still a good yuck. Oh, well, back at home and under the cover of darkness, Hank decides to get out of town and steal Lee's car. While Charlie watches him. Oh, that was one sentence.
Yep. He does, in fact, watch him leave.
Charlie doesn't say anything about this, but honestly, even if he did, it's not like anyone's going to pay attention to him. Around Marvin's pill time the next day, Bessie receives a phone call from Robert De Niro himself, who breaks the news that the boys were no match for her cancer. Lee and Bessie have another hard conversation about love and life and taking care of the elderly patients in the house when Bessie excuses herself to go take care of Marvin. Lee tries to make a break for it again, but is stopped by the return of Hank, who just finished making a break for it. The movie concludes with Lee carrying Marvin's meds into his room and seeing Bessie playing with lights on the wall to amuse him, as Hank watches over for the scene and no one cares about Charlie. The end. That was a really brief summary of the ending. Yeah. There's a lot more but it's slow. It's emotional moments in conversation. Yeah. I'm not going to go word for word about Lee starting to become a caretaker, but that's a lot.
Yeah.
She still hasn't graduated cosmetology school, and clearly she needs to learn a lot more. So I was supposed to take care of two kids. Her grandfather, who could die at any moment. Her sister, who I think the ballpark was 2-ish years, something like that.
Yeah.
Aunt Ruth, actually not that bad, but she's still just an absolute liability. The danger is she's going to kill someone else in that house first.
I mean, if you think about it, very likely Lee would probably have to do this for about 2 years, and then she'd be chilling with Aunt Ruth and put her in a home.
Yeah. And as soon as both Marvin and Bessie have gone, Aunt Ruth is getting sent. Yeah. She's getting shipped.
It's a little cryptic, but that's kind of as far as what we've seen from Lee so far.
Yeah. That's happening.
That's probably what should happen.
Absolutely happening.
Yeah. And it probably will not help Hank, because Hank had a little bit of an arc where he kind of became somewhat, maybe realizing that he was, acting a little too hard out, and Bessie kind of warmed up to him.
Yeah.
So Bessie's death is definitely not going to help that kid at all.
Oh no, that is going to devastate him.
Yeah.
Especially because he just I think actually there was some arc that was oddly resolved with telling Hank that his father used to beat him while they were in the gift shop of Cinderella's Bride or something like that.
Yeah.
Bizarre place to unpack family trauma, but a vacation's as good a place as any.
Yep.
But I think that kind of gave some resolution to why he feels the way he is, because he was actually abused and has just been suppressing that knowledge and that feeling, and never experienced any kind of resolution to that. But now he's forced to come to terms with it.
Well, because he
Disney World.
Yeah, he idolizes his dad.
Oh yeah,
or
the
idea of his dad, because he's some race car driver.
And that's all he knew about him.
Yeah, really. But yet, how old is Marvin? He's 17, and how old is Charlie?
Marvin's 117.
Oh, sorry, not Marvin.
Hank is 17.
Hank, you're right. It's weird that the movie's called Marvin's Room.
Very little to do with anything that happened in the movie.
Yeah, but sorry, Charlie's 17, and how old?
Hank is 17. We're running out of male names. Damn it. The Goofy was 17.
Hank was 17. Charlie was what?
I don't know if it's stated. He seems 12, 11, 10.
Yeah, I would say maybe 10.
Yeah, maybe 12 might be a bit high.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that not a teenager yet. Age.
But so did their dad leave right after Charlie was born then?
He must have.
He must have, because Hank has some memories of him, but only up until he was 4.
Yeah.
And so unless he hung around a little bit longer, and then just
maybe Charlie's 13 or something.
It would be weird if he was 13.
Yeah.
He doesn't look 13.
Or even before Charlie was born, but after she became pregnant with him, maybe somewhere in there, just having that second kid was too much for him.
I don't know. It's just weird. Yeah.
Also, one fun detail was that the dad was never actually a race car driver. He just owned a racy car, and that's all Hank remembered. Because when he asked that person who was a race car driver, the guy obviously says no.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he's talking to Bessie about it, she says, "Oh, I think he owned a fast car. Like he owned a racy car or something."
Yeah.
But he was never actually a race car driver, which shows how little Hank actually knew about his father.
Yeah. Or maybe his father was lying to him. I'm glad you had a fun fact because, oh boy.
that was just like a mild observation that's included in dialogue in the movie. If that qualifies for a fun fact, we're screwed.
Yeah. And one thing that about this movie was like, I think the expectations versus the reality. Because I was expecting big emotional performances from these like titans of actors.
Mm-hmm.
And yet like the material they were working with did not like it didn't hit those heights, I think, at all. And so like they're all really good actors. Like don't get me wrong. This was before Titanic for Leo.
Yeah.
And
they were all really good actors. It was an incredible cast.
Yeah. And yet I didn't like feel their like presence really at all. Like Robert De Niro is basically like a kind of, I don't know, quirky doctor.
Yeah.
Like that's
Robert De Niro was just Robert De Niro in a lab coat.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically.
Yeah.
And then like, I don't know, like Diane Keaton was.
I kind of think they were good, but just such muted characters. It didn't matter.
That's the thing, is I think they did the best they could with what they were given.
Yeah.
And what they were given wasn't as emotional as I think the movie thinks that it is.
Yeah. I feel that too.
Yeah. I don't like the conflicts weren't as high as maybe it expected it to be. So
yeah, there's no real threat of anything bad happening from these arguments happening because they feel like normal sibling arguments.
Yeah. Like this to me felt like a movie that is one of those that pretty much happens every year where it's a big performance movie. It's like an actor's vehicle. Like this is where you go in, you have the big moments, the big speeches, the crying, the slobbering, the whatever. Maybe it's not the best movie, doesn't get nominated for Best Picture, but acting nominations all over.
Yeah.
But this didn't hit that. Like it didn't get to those heights, I felt.
No. And like I had some hope for it, which is probably a mistake when it first started off because I actually really liked the theme for this movie. It was actually like a really cool piece.
Pretty nice.
Although I'm guessing that was probably coming from the play itself. I don't know if it was made for the movie or anything, but it starts with like this really cool tracking shot of all of Marvin's medications. The guy's popping pills for days.
Oh, God,
good for him. But like it started off with that. So I'm like, okay, I have never heard of this movie. It can't be that great. So it's probably one of those movies where it's a really arty movie, great performances, black kind of like actual story to it, and screenplay, but like, you know, cool cinematography and like everything else, like sound design's going to be good, anything like that. I was fine.
Yeah.
It was average. I liked that theme. I don't really notice anything else from it from the like artful direction. Well,
do you want to know what the critics and audiences thought of it then?
I will be shocked if critics and audiences thought about this movie.
Well, where do you think they kind of landed on the spectrum there?
Right. I'm going to say that the critics can't go too hard in it because like it has Meryl Streep in it. But it's not going to be good. I'm going to say they're going to give it a 54 and the audience is going to be like low 30s.
Oh, wow.
Man. I didn't like this movie, Kyle.
Yeah, you went quite hard. Critics actually gave it an 84% Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, why?
I don't know.
I'd like to read every single one to figure out what went wrong.
Yeah. Audiences was a 63% and on IMDb it had a 6.7.
Yeah, that's fine.
Lastly, Metacritic was a 68.
Yeah.
So...
it just kind of seemed like a stinker.
It did.
It was just boring. But like also we're probably one of the worst audiences for this too.
Absolutely.
That couldn't have helped.
But like there's a point where like there are movies that we're not the audience for that you can still enjoy.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just
weird. It just didn't cross any kind of aisles.
No, and it also didn't make any money.
Oh, at least there is one saving grace here.
Yeah,
they learned a lesson because it's probably bled money.
It had a budget of $23 million.
Mm-hmm. 19 million fees of that is actors.
Yeah, absolutely. It made $12.8 million.
Oh, just crossed over half its money back. Yeah. Oh no.
It lost a lot of money, and which landed it at 117th of the yearly box office. Almost off the page for where they actually track this. So
that's brutal. Beat Bottle Rocket, I guess.
Yeah, But what do you think about Marvin's Room? Let's get into our scores. So your enjoyment.
Oh God, did I have any? It really peaked when I was watching that first opening shot. It was still the opening credits was the height of my enjoyment with this movie. That's got to be a 1.5.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. I'm also gonna go 1. I'm actually dancing between 1 or 1.5 because I didn't hate this movie.
Yeah,
I just didn't like it and it was boring. So okay, 1.5. 1.5 is fair. Yeah,
I can imagine there's like a little bit of gray room where I'm actually offended that I'm sitting down to watch this.
Yeah,
it didn't get there, but it played with it.
Yeah, craft.
I mean, yeah, the acting was good.
That's execution. So
yeah, so never mind. I do this every single time. The craft. There was nothing. There was that one cool shot, and I like the theme.
Yeah,
that's like a 2.
Is it?
I think to me that's a 2.
Good for you.
Yeah. What do you?
This just felt like TV to me.
Yeah.
And like I didn't think it was that interesting in his shots, except for that opening like pill shot that you just reminded me of it. It didn't stick in my brain.
Yeah.
Clearly. So like, oh, fuck. I'm also gonna go 1.5 for the crowd.
I don't blame you.
Execution.
I'm
acting and writing.
This is where it's gonna save itself a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's still not incredible. No one rose above what they were given to make this worthwhile. It's completely average 2.5.
Oh, fuck. That's exactly what I was going to give it to because like the material weighs down like the fact that these actors are doing their best. Like
they're giving it everything.
And like you could give Meryl Streep the fucking back of a soup can and she would act the shit out of the ingredients.
Oh yeah.
So like this was like she was doing her best for sure.
If you are tying down this cast,
you
need to rethink why you're here and why you've brought them here.
Yeah, I'm baffled how they landed this cast.
I know.
Was it maybe like one of the actors felt very strongly about the material and then they just brought all their other like buddies in?
It could have been.
Could have been. I mean, like obviously in hindsight, Leo was not the biggest star then.
No.
Titanic had not come out, but like he had been in some stuff like Gilbert Grape and what have you. So like he was a rising star.
Yeah, you knew he was coming.
Yeah, but like still like Robert De Niro.
Yeah, Robert De Niro is a doctor in this. Yeah,
like what the fuck? And like Meryl Streep, Diane Keaton, like these guys were all huge. I think even Gwen Verdon and Hume. Maybe not Hume. I forget which one was the dead guy. The barely dead guy.
Well, no, you just call it what it is.
Yeah. I think those guys were like relatively big actors for their day too.
Yeah,
like
they definitely
when they were in their prime. So I don't know.
So honestly, it is an offense that you have put this cast together and made them do this.
Right.
All of them, think about this. All of them could have been together making a better movie.
Yeah.
But they couldn't because they were in this.
This is one of those movies where if I ever had a chance to meet any single one of these people, I'd be like, do you remember Marvin's Room?
And I don't know what they would answer.
I don't know if they would answer. Because like you'd be like, it was the one with Meryl Streep. And you're like, well, I've been in fucking 8 movies with Meryl Streep.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, no, absolutely not.
Like the Drake song?
Yeah, I guess we should have said that off the top.
Yeah. Which also was a bad sign for this. When you Google Marvin's Room, you have to go to page like 3 to get to the movie because Drake's song will take the first 1 to 2 pages.
Yeah, exactly. But maybe we can scrape some clout to the words this episode just because Drake had a song about it. What is the Drake song even about? Did he like this movie? I'm questioning Drake's taste in movies now.
This couldn't. Well, actually, maybe this could be a Drake song. Maybe or a Drake movie. Maybe he could be into this kind of stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm a weird guy. I'm going to ask him about it. I'm like, hey, did you ever see When I See Drake?
Next time. Inferring that both you have seen him and you will do it again. I'm on the phone with Drake.
I'm going to go to a Drake concert with a big sign that's just, have you actually seen Marvin's Room?
Bracket 1996.
Yeah. But let's wrap up the score with rewatchability.
0. I don't want to see this again.
Absolutely not. You couldn't pay me to watch this again.
I don't want to do it. I would rather look at a wall for 98 minutes. I can't believe they made 98 minutes suck.
I know. This is just weird. It baffles me. Like,
oh my God.
I can't, like, the cognitive dissonance between the cast and what this actual movie is absurd.
The distance between the cast of this movie and what this movie was is probably equal to the distance between Bessie's car and the fucking curb. We should have noted in the first 25 seconds they warned us.
Oh, fuck.
They gave us notice.
Should we quickly go to the season ranking and both put it at the bottom?
We can just auto that one in. Let me first give you a recap of what we've scored this. So Kyle, when I said that audiences have given this like a low 30s, and you said that was kind of harsh, you have given this a 28% out of 5.5 out of 20.
Yeah, that's...
I have given this slightly more. I haven't really just dummied it the same way you have. I've given it 30% for a 6 out of 20.
Man.
This movie was bad.
Yeah.
Marvin's room for improvement. Dear Lord.
Oh, fuck. I'm actually, like, in hindsight, I'm glad this ended up in the schedule. Because the fucking meme of this movie is just like, it's so funny to talk about.
It is.
I don't want you guys to watch this movie.
Don't.
But, like, it is funny to talk about how weird it is. It's just weird. It's bad, but like it shouldn't.
It shouldn't have been. There's no reason for it to be. It's a well-known play already. How do you drop the ball that badly? There is one scenario in which I can understand someone watching this movie, and it's someone who's trying to 100% watch all of Meryl Streep's career.
Yeah.
Just every single movie.
Yeah.
I can understand why this would be needed there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, don't watch Marvin's Room.
There's actually, that's funny, because Letterboxd is very slim for this as well. There was one review that I saw that was basically they were going through every Diane Keaton movie.
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
And so, like, this had to be part of it.
Yeah.
And so that makes sense. In this context, that makes sense.
That's the only way that you would watch Marvin's Room.
Yeah. Or, you know, if you're keeping up with season 1 of Snubs and
Dubs. If you're trying to watch, like, just a shit ton of movies from 1996 and you see that cast list, I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
That was my logic.
This had to be here. This had to happen.
Yeah.
Well, Kyle...
All right. Hit me with my ranking.
All right. In order, top to bottom, you have Fargo, Scream, Jerry Maguire, Independence Day, Bottle Rocket, Trainspotting, Twister, Primal Fear, The People vs. Larry Flint, A Time to Kill, Lone Star, Happy Gilmore, and then Marvin's Room.
Marvin's Room. Yeah.
Marvin's Room taken.
All those movies are better than this. Even Happy Gilmore, which I don't really like.
Didn't even like that movie. Okay, and now me in order. Fargo, Scream, Lone Star, Independence Day, Jerry Maguire, Bottle Rocket, Trainspotting, Primal Fear, Twister, A Time to Kill, Happy Gilmore, The People vs. Larry Flint, 11 boxes of empty spaces, and then Marvin's Room. I'm just going to save me some time.
Can't wait for this one to dive just like all the way.
I'm going to put this at number 25 right now to save me some work throughout the season of moving titles around.
There's still time. We could find a worse movie.
I don't want to, Kyle. I don't want to. I'll move it up if I have to.
There's movies that I watched in the 96 Reserve that we're not talking about as full episodes that are better than Marvin's Room. Like,
there's home movie projects that are better than Marvin's Room.
Oh, fuck. All right. Well, that makes sense. Yeah. But do you want to get into the funny Letterboxd reviews?
Please. I hope people had as much fun tearing this movie apart as we've had here today.
It isn't. It's okay. I'll get into it. So the last episode you complained about not having a lot in A Time to Kill. Oh boy. This movie on Letterboxd has 65. I did math. 65% less reviews than A Time to Kill. So it had 751 reviews on Letterboxd. That also makes it 98% less reviews than Scream.
Oh, no.
But the kind of hindsight of this is it was easier to find the quality.
Oh, yeah. People, if you're here, you're a trooper. You are only in Letterboxd of Marvin's Room 1996 if you're a trooper.
So I did grab quite a few. I grabbed 6. Because I had to compensate for interesting facts, which I'll get into in a bit, because oh boy, that was also lacking. So first off, we got 4.5 stars by Issy.
What?
Feel pretty confident saying that Leo spitting off a balcony at Disneyland in this was his entire audition for Titanic. James Cameron saw that and was like, yep, that's the boy.
Sure. That'd be one good thing to come from this.
Yeah. Leo's career just like sprung off after Marvin's Room. Good for him. 4 stars by T. Meryl, baby, I'm so sorry, but you did not fix that wig at all.
It's both the thing. I mean, they're probably around a budget, so like Meryl Streep had to cut it herself. But you'd think they'd get someone on set to do it.
Yeah.
But it looks like Meryl Streep actually cut it in like one take.
Honestly, maybe Meryl was the one that was like really invested in the play and wanted to bring on this movie. She's like, I'm going to do the play.
Yep.
I'm going to bring all my best acting buddies in.
I'm calling in every favor I have.
I'm doing the fucking wig. I'm doing it myself. I got 2 stars by Amber, who says, I prefer that Drake song instead.
Yeah.
It saves you a lot more time listening to a 6-minute Drake song than watching this 98-minute
catastrophe.
Got 3.5 by Laura. A nice movie to fold laundry to.
In the way that like it makes folding laundry the more enjoyable task to complete.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
2.5 by Ella. They got Diane Keaton, Meryl Streep, Leonardo DiCaprio, and fucking Gwen Verdon on Splash Mountain. My brain cannot process.
Yeah,
they did do that.
They did do that. Maybe this was one big ploy to just have a day at Disneyland, Disney World, and get paid for it. Like, we got to build a movie around it, but I know there's a Disney World scene in Marvin's room.
Yeah, they definitely got paid. The movie did not make any fucking money. Lastly, we got 3 stars by Pube.
Strong start.
They say it has Oscar-worthy acting in what is basically a made-for-TV movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that basically wraps up Marvin.
You kind of killed it. I don't know how you can write that review and still give it 3 stars, but I see right. Pube. You're not wrong.
All right, well, we're going to move into the Academy now.
Yep.
So what do you think the Academy had to say about Marvin's Room?
Nothing. I don't know if they said anything about this movie.
They said one thing.
Oh.
Diane Keaton was nominated for Best Actress in a Leading Role.
Oh?
Yeah.
I guess. She worked it.
I guess.
I don't know how much you can work that role.
Yeah.
Did she win?
No.
We
already know who won.
I don't remember.
McDormand.
Oh yeah. And she deserved it.
Absolutely, for Fargo, yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
It wasn't nominated for anything else, didn't win anything else in the Academy. I had to kind of scrape for the other nominees. I don't think it really won anything notable.
It couldn't have.
It was nominated for the Golden Globe for Best Performance by an Actress in a Motion Picture Drama for Meryl Streep. So Academy liked Diane Keaton. Golden Globes liked Meryl Streep.
Not a lot, though, because they didn't win.
Yeah, and it was nominated for the Screen Actors Guild Award for Outstanding Performances by a Cast. So this was the whole cast.
I mean, they just had a good cast.
Yeah.
I don't know if the cast did good with this movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man.
So it wasn't highly acclaimed.
No.
So that doesn't surprise you, though?
No, not at all.
No.
In fact, the fact that it did have a nomination is a little surprising because, Diane Keaton was like good in this, but it didn't strike me as an Oscar-worthy role.
Yeah. I think this was actually where I put it into the season because I was looking at all the movies that were nominated for anything in 96, and I looked at Best Actress, saw Diane Keaton. I think I clicked it, saw it had 85% on Rotten Tomatoes. Cool.
Good
Plug
enough.
it in.
Yeah. And that cast?
And that cast?
Yeah.
Well,
that should be a good movie.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll get into the interesting facts. There was literally only 3 on IMDb. Literally 3.
That's not good.
And 2 of them were basically the same thing.
Oh, no.
So the 2 that were basically the same were that Sigourney Weaver, Angelica Houston, Kathleen Turner, and Jessica Lange were all considered for the role of Bessie. Jessica Lange was offered the role but turned it down. And then that Scott McPherson, the writer of the play, died from complications from AIDS shortly after completing the adaptation of his screenplay. It marks his only film screenplay. That's it.
Oh, yeah, those are interesting. Not fun, but that second one was really sad.
Yeah, right?
I mean, the first one, at least good for them.
For getting out of this?
For not being in this movie. That's actually a pretty big dub.
Yeah, basically, it's 2 facts. One is a fucking downer, and one is actors that got away. Like that avoided this.
Who narrowly escaped the house fire.
But fuck. That I couldn't find anything else.
There's nothing out there for this. You have to have a fun movie for fun facts.
Do you have any other final thoughts on Marvin's Room?
No, I don't want this to occupy a room in my brain anymore. I'm done with Marvin's Room. Anything you'd like to say in closing for Marvin's Room?
don't watch it.
Don't. You don't need to. You don't have to.
Don't be fooled.
No one's making you.
Yeah, don't be fooled.
Yeah.
This looks, it has the surface of a movie that probably should be good.
Yeah.
And there's like 85% on critics and Rotten Tomatoes. Don't be fooled. Don't watch this movie.
Yeah.
You will likely fall asleep.
If someone threatens you and says you have to watch this movie or else, ask what the else might be. Because you could be getting off with an easier direction there.
All right. Well, with that, I want to thank you guys all for listening to season 1, episode 13 of Snubs and Dubs. We're officially halfway through.
Oh my God.
Halfway through season 1 after that. So
really, this is the end of the first
half.
Yeah, half. And it looks like the heroes have lost all hope because they just watched Marvin's Room. I can't wait to see how they're going to get out of this pickle before the big finale.
Yeah, inching ever closer to that big finale. But as always, Wii U?
As always, you can win a Wii U.
I mean, they're probably like $20 at this point. So, yeah.
You're just walking down the street. He's like, kick a soccer ball, it goes to a net. You've won a Wii U.
This is probably going to be my least edited podcast episode because it's been fun to just kind of fuck around with this.
Yeah, this was a breather. This was room from content.
Yeah. As always, you can find us everywhere on social media at Snubs and Dubs. That's on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Letterboxd, etc. We're also on Good Pod, so make sure to check us out there and join our official Discord. Would love to hear you guys' thoughts on Marvin's Room if you just happen to fucking stumble upon it or on this episode. So please send us a tweet or a message with a question, recommendation, or anything else. I'm also at Kyle Tobiasson on Twitter, and Jason is at Windy_Mills. Of course, all those links are going to be in our show notes. Please leave us a 5-star review and share the episode, and then check back next week for another episode in season 1. Here's a sneak peek of the film we're going to talk about.
I don't want you to be the guy in the PG-13 movie everyone's really hoping makes it happen. I want you to be like the guy in the rated R movie. You're a bad man. You're a bad man. You're a bad man.
That's right. Next episode, we're talking about Swingers. So make sure to check it out before next episode. I can't wait for you guys to hear it. Thanks for listening. That's a wrap.
Bye for now.
Bye. Fucking Marvin's Room.
Marvin's Room. Jesus Christ,